took me close to a year and a half to discover this. So if you're a luxury pet mom over 40, building your own luxury pet brand, then this is definitely for you. So it took me close to a year and a half to find the correct rhythm, to find the correct way for how I could communicate with people, how to do so in a specific platform. So depending on a platform where you at, there's certain way that you want to communicate with your audience. And that took alone a year and a half, but also other things that I learned in the process of discovering other skills. I learned like how to modulate your voice, how to slow it down, how to accelerate it, how to kind of introduce polarization, and all sorts of all sorts of other skills. So it took me a year and a half to discover a way for how to kind of structure my conversation and get through to ideal customer profile. It took a year and a half to figure it out what kind of contrast and comparison I could use in my stories. It took a year and a half of kind of going through trials, triumphs, failures, and tribulations, and measuring the responsiveness of other people whenever I start talking. It took close to a year and a half of kind of slowing yourself down with the way you talk and accelerating the pace at certain moments. It took a year and a half to figure out how to introduce fear factor, how to introduce scarcity. It took a year and a half to figure out how to mix it all together in a way that makes it mesmerizing. It took a year and a half to figure out how to ensure that the conversation is just flowing without stuttering. It took about a year and a half to figure out what kind of people I could connect with that can help me expand this skill further. It took a year and a half to figure out the best course of action I could take on a daily basis to accelerate new skills and discovery of additional skills. It took a year and a half to figure out how to repurpose content. It took a year and a half to figure out how to finally get success. And even that slipped through the cracks recently, as you've seen today. So it took a year and a half of many trials, failures, and tribulations, guys, to get to where I'm here right now. So the question is this something that you could do? Is this something that you could do on a part-time basis? Yeah, what's up? What's going on, guys? So we got new folks over here. Thank you guys for commenting. My name's Ron Wells, and I figured I'd just tell you like what took me a year and a half. It's a lot of things, guys, and hopefully you're here listening to this. I figured I'd just go ahead and pick my wife real quick and squabble up together with you guys and deliver some tea. I don't know, like at this point I'm spilling tea all day and all night. Not just kidding. I only spill tea when I'm moving across one area to another, that kind of thing. But look, there's a lot of things, guys, that I discovered in a year and a half that is practically impossible to just kind of go ahead and do unless you actually do it. But the cool part about it, if you listen to those workshops, you're going to quickly understand what is it that you could do in order to skip the year and a half and save insane amount of time and hit the ground running and start building your brand, start creating more opportunities for other people, so this way they could squabble up together with you and you make more money, you work together, that kind of stuff. So the biggest thing that I discovered, guys, is not the skill itself, but the angle, the marketing angles that I'm introducing in variations of those angles in the minds of others depending on the platform where I'm at. So sometimes what I could be doing is just kind of canceling completely my brain, guys. And thank you for the likes, thank you for the shares. And when I'm canceling the brain, that typically happens when I may get into like the flow. I don't know, perhaps maybe some of you have already seen some of my poems that I have written even way before ChatGPT. When you look through those poems, you're gonna be like, damn, was Ron Wells cooked on something at that point? When he was writing them. So you're gonna get that kind of, when you read through those poems, you're gonna be like, damn, that kind of reminds me of somebody. And you'll be like, damn, is that me? Yeah, guys, that's exactly who it's gonna remind you of. And then you're gonna come back and you're gonna be like, oh my God, I want to read another poem. And then sooner or later, as I kept developing new skill after another skill, I kept mixing them up I kept thread stacking, I kept ups stacking, I kept like varying, iterating them, and creating additional kind of learning effectiveness structures to increase your chances of kind of resonating with whatever the content that I'm creating. It turned into sort of like a game, guys. Sort of like, I don't know, you guys already know I play StarCraft from time to time, watch people play StarCraft, and kind of dive into one industry, dive out of that industry, and then kind of combine multiple industries together into my journey. And as I'm doing that, I'm discovering new patterns, new capabilities for moms over 40 and hustlers, for how you guys could squabble up together and make money. And of course, this is something really difficult to achieve just by, if you don't do it, if you don't have this passion, it's basically, it's like really hard to learn. And the only way for you guys to learn it is if you literally just do it. If you pick a bougie boss mom over 40 and literally reach out to her and say, look, I want to help you. I want to help you grow your brand. And that mom is going to be so thankful. She's going to come back to you. She's going to be like, damn, finally I have a side hustler who's understanding my feudal need and feudal want. And that's how you want to take it, guys. You never want to ask for permission to serve somebody. You just serve others. And like sometimes what I do is I jump into a school community, and I may drop like a thread and say, hey guys, this is how I promote Andy the goat. I'm sure some of you guys already heard of Andy. Who is Andy? But he was one of those goats that he just speaks constantly, clearly, so well and so articulatively within his automations. And it really got to the point where it didn't even matter what Andy would say, regardless of what he would teach, whether it's automation, AI, or anything else for that matter. I would be mesmerized by the clarity and by the kind of the leadership that Andy was kind of showing throughout his kind of school community workshops and that kind of stuff. And I would be mesmerized, and I would come back and I would say, hey guys, if you want to learn how to, be a goat like Andy, then try to promote other goats first without asking any questions, without asking anything in return. And of course, guys, a lot of people started giving me likes. Andy started giving me likes. So the first rule of thumb, guys, find a goat, then go ahead and promote that goat without asking any questions. That's basically the idea. That could be a share a button like you guys did today. Truly incredible, guys. I'm super stoked for you guys sharing that live. I'm seeing so many subscribers coming in. They're just, today, heck, I had somebody who literally called me Megamind. I thought they were gonna call me a Mega Man, but it was like Megamind. that kind of got me laughing. Well, anyway, guys, look, I mean, I learned a lot in a year and a half, and of course, I don't encourage everybody to review and see all of those workshops, but I do encourage you from time to time to kind of browse through some of my short form videos to see if something, perhaps maybe this is for you, maybe this is not for you. But at the end of the day, guys, look, at the end of the day, everybody has a boss, whether it's you being your own boss or if you're working for anybody else. And if you learn those skills, guys, whatever the skills that I learned in a year and a half, it will truly help you guys. It will truly help you make insane amount of money and finally feel free. Don't feel like a process prisoner. Finally feel like you have something to kind of look forward to. And you could totally see all of this, guys, all of this passion shown directly in my poetry. If you read some of those poems, sometimes I have poems about Alaska, sometimes I have poems about chopping wood, sometimes I have a poem about feudal system. And if I read you some of those poems, you're gonna get mesmerized. But the key here is kind of modulation of your kind of vocals, and kind of creating some of those new words, and kind of creating that quirkiness and keeping it dynamic and fluid, and not really kind of monotonic and robotic. And that was, obviously that takes a little bit a little bit of time, guys, but I know you will crush it. I know. And many people just join this workshop because they want to have that comfort. Many people not getting that comfort. They're getting kind of cooked by either a family member or friends or some people who making fun of them. And I tell them, look, just do enjoy your life. Life is only short. Try to make the best out of it, and never ask for permission to serve somebody's needs. Just go out and do it. Even if you fail, even if you don't get the receptiveness that you deserve to get, go ahead and serve somebody's needs. And at the end of the day, show how you went ahead and served somebody. Doing so, for example, like in thread stacking, when you could show, let's say you found a mom who needs a model, go ahead and talk about it and say, hey guys, I need some models from Atlanta, Georgia. Can anybody help me out? And then go ahead and blast that on threads. You'll be surprised what's happening. You're going to be creating like a snowball effect where people are going to be like, damn, I bet, let me see what Ron was looking for. Oh, damn, he's looking for some models. Let me go ahead and take a look. Let me reach out to, like, what's going on. This whole thing, what I'm talking about, guys, may seem kind of like, why would I do that? But remove the word why from your vocabulary, guys, and just do it anyway, and then see what happens, because that snowball effect is going to be feeding you and like growing you to the next level. It's going to be revealing new things like magic tricks popping up in your mind, and you're going to be like, damn, I like this, I like this, I want to do this. And out of a sudden you see yourself being that leader, that being that feudal lord, being the person who's positioning others to help each other. And out of a sudden you just discover like your future you. And when that happened, that's when you transcend, and that's when you discover new skills. That's when you discover new patterns. That's when you start creating poetry. This is where you literally supersede kind of typical intellect of ChatGPT or anything like this. This is where you could just create polarization, jump from one field to another, and create incredible learning effectiveness in the eyes of others, where others get to see your company, your brand bigger than any other company that they ever came across. Why? Because you managed to create that impact, that learning effectiveness that started resonating in their minds. And of course, guys, in order to create that impact, you need to morph yourself into the mindsets of your audience. You need to involve your audience into the process to become that next wave of creators. And remember, guys, I mentioned to you earlier that to become the next wave of creators, you need to involve your audience into the process. Be the feudal lord, the bougie boss mom that you deserve to be, taking those opportunities one step at a time while providing the tokens of opportunities for others as you grow in your brand and creating content. And that's what it takes to be the next wave of creators, guys. And I see a lot of moms over 40 trying, truly doing their best, becoming the leaders, finally taking the initiative. Heck, I even invite moms to be the feudal hustlers, to lead the younger generation and get them to kind of work together with their brands and sell more products, make more products, differentiate them, be their guides, be the leaders. And of course, moms over 40, they enjoy that. They be like, man, I want to be the leader, that would be fire, but I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to, I don't want to read, but I want to lead. And I get it, guys. And I'm not a big reader either. And Threads is like one of those platforms that you kind of got to read. And of course, at the same time, I knew that a lot of people don't want to read, which is why I invented the thread stacking skills. And this skill is absolutely phenomenal for any of you guys who want to break through the attention span of a process prisoner, who is a TikTok zombie or a thread zombie, or anybody else who's like truly cooked. You could truly convert them using thread stacking skills, break through their attention span, and finally have that flexibility to hit them with a stronger content until they get converted into your listener, until they get to become your subscriber, until finally get to be the bougie boss mom that you deserve to be, versus being the process prisoner, versus being the TikTok zombie, versus being the thread zombie. Notice how I'm using polarization, continuation, synchronization, cohesiveness, and just kind of moving the entire speech with complete dynamic fluency. This is insane, guys. Like, I don't know, I didn't know that I'm going to become like that. I'm going to be able to form sentences like this. This is absolutely crazy, guys. If you look at my community, you're going to see that I literally had zero skills when I started out. My brain was just in a developing life cycle, and anytime I went ahead and started creating content, that content looked a bit cringy. I was being all sorts of weird. And I mean, you get to see that in my community from the beginning towards the end of my workshops, towards the continuations of those workshops. And hopefully one day when you see that, you're going to recognize yourself inside of that journey as you're progressing towards becoming that next feudal lord, the bougie boss mom over 40 that you deserve to be, the leader, the person who's helping others grow the feudal land, giving them opportunities, and getting that support from my community as well, of this incredible feudal hustlers who know how to navigate through some of those high cardinality, heterogeneous complexities, iterating effortlessly through thread stacking and up stacking and all sorts of other skills that are not taught in college. And of course, guys, when you see those types of side hustlers, those feudal hustlers who are ready to lead the entire army, squabbling up together to help you grow your brand, you start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You start seeing the hope. You start seeing that, yes, you could finally start spawning money, making money, creating opportunities for others. And back in the days, that's what the feudal lords did. Back in the days in the feudalism, the feudalism existed for thousands of years, guys. Back in the days, those feudal lords would be spinning through all those territories, conquering the feudal lands and providing that feudal share, the feudal tokens of opportunities to those workers who would be cultivating that feudal land and growing it and getting that opportunity to live in the same land. And that's basically what you would be doing as a bougie boss mom over 40, the feudal lord, whether you become the digital feudal lord or the physical feudal lord. This is what you would be doing in context of providing those opportunities for side hustlers from overseas who are hungry to dominate all of those skills and earn money in the process. They have time, they have opportunity to help you, and you, as the bougie boss mom over 40, you have the opportunity to become who you always wanted to become, the next wave of creators, the feudal lord, digital or physical or hybrid or combination of many other feudal lords that I mentioned in the past. Ideally, the most important thing for you guys is to pick an avatar, stick to that avatar, form that avatar into the journey, follow the feudal system framework that states you must reflect, learn, execute, mentor, and squash atomic habits as you do so across multiple platforms, and show that you mean business. Show to other people that you're ready to take control of a niche of a luxury pet brand and create incredible products that where you could differentiate those products, take them to the market, and leverage other side hustlers together with the help of your feudal hustlers, helping your feudal kingdom grow stronger. So guys, you see, this is like some really insane dynamics and continuous speech. And this is like, obviously guys, if you think about it, a year and a half, a year and a half of developing those skills. But guess what? You're still here. You're wondering. You're like, damn, that's kind of a fire speech. But yeah, guys, you could develop that skill, become really. But keep something in mind. You don't kind of want to be just like a talking puppet. You want to be combining multiple things, guys, in modulation, iteration, variation of happiness, and neutrality in your conversational style, soft skills. And of course, believe it or not, there's some AI models already coming out, like MindMax or whatever, this latest model that can do the modulation for you, which is good news. So if you can't do that, guys, do know that this model already exists for you. All you need is a fire prompt in ChatGPT where you literally say, hey, you know what? Take this video that I created on YouTube, but modulate the heck out of it with this voice. And then you just put like a voice from that MindMax. You could put more like a better voice that is maybe you're like me, maybe you have this raspy voice and you're not really proud of it, and you could easily just snipe the whole workshop that you have already done, hand it off to your virtual assistant, so this way you're not cooking your brain trying to waste all that time, and have them cook up ChatGPT prompt with MindMax connection. So this way you have this fire looking speech, fire looking like text that is not changed, that is still the same. So this way you could kind of break through your ideal customer profile, but at the same time include like a little avatar that can wave hands and do all the stuff for you. And then you go ahead and blast that across multiple socials. And out of a sudden, people are going to be like, damn, this is fire. And although I know maybe it's not necessarily you, because there's an avatar version of AI you, and there's a kind of those modulated variations of your happy you and neutral you and excited you, but guess what? You have that path of moving forward. So even if you have some deficiency in your style of communication, maybe you have an accent, maybe you have speech disorder of some sort where you cannot fluidly, cohesively describe everything. Guys, it takes practice. I wasn't like that all the time. I wasn't like a tea spilling machine all the time. It takes a little bit of practice, but trust me, guys, once you get that practice, once you get it, once you organize all those skills, then you could hand it off to your little AI agent that's just going to be spawning actual workshops that you could take those workshops from YouTube, operationalize them with MindMax or whatever. Don't quote me on that. Whatever the name of that latest tool, the latest model that came out recently that destroyed 11 labs, that model, that's the one I'm referring to. It that is open source, and yes, you could modify modulation of your voice. You could make it happy, you could make it excited, neutral, that kind of stuff. So anyway, so notice how I introduced repetitiveness, notice how I introduced cohesiveness, notice how I introduced polarization, notice how I continuously hold you like a hostage until the end of the conversation. This is the skill that took me a year and a half to figure this out. But some of you will say, well, what good is that? If you ain't making money, why should I be learning from you? Well, guys, look, money is not all, like, if you ask yourself, what is freedom? Is it truly all about money? Like for me, it's not a I'm going to finalize this, but yeah, I got to pick up the phone. But yes, that's true, guys. For me, money is not what freedom is. Believe it or not, if it was the case, then you wouldn't be seeing me here communicating and spilling tea, In fact, if you don't believe me, take a look at thousands of my poems that I've written with absolutely no ask of any money whatsoever in return. In fact, guys, like I highly encourage you that you kind of disregard the whole concept of money when you're building your own brand and treat it like a internal energy that will just come to you no matter what. But you kind of just go with the flow. But of course, you got to have somebody who can tap on your shoulder and stop you if you go overboard. And that's what you get in my community. My subscription is only $14.99, way better than my hourly rate at $295 per hour. But hey, if you get a grant in my community, then you could easily pay me $295 per hour, because you'll be able to get that basically free money of $10,000. So you could definitely hire me on that basis. But if I was you, I would just definitely subscribe to me for $14.99 in my community. And if I see some deficiency in you, I can either A, decide if this is something that I could help you with, or B, I could refer you to another thought expert who can help you kind of solve that deficiency problem. So that's how it works, guys. Anyway, I'll see you next time, and take care. And DM Path on my Insta if you enjoyed this and you want to actually subscribe, or definitely subscribe over here. I'll see you.